Hey there friends and enemies, Jopa here again, and after yesterday's PlayStation State of Play, I think it's time to have a serious conversation with gamers about setting expectations and understanding what you actually want. Because I don't know, I don't think the studios know, and I don't think you guys even know what you're actually looking for. And this has popped up because I've seen a lot of backlash to this event with people saying it's either mid or downright bad, and the various polls showing that people just genuinely did not enjoy this, which is fine. I understand if you did not have any games in this event that you were looking forward to, but I think that's why setting expectations is so important. One, this event was revealed the day before it actually happened, so it wasn't like there was some grand hype and build-up. It's not ever intended to replace or be as big as a AAA fest like Summer Games Fest or the Game Awards, and so that's very important to understand. It's also important to know that they mix in a lot of big name titles with some lesser known quantities, specifically to get more eyes on these games that might otherwise go under the radar in a place where a lot of people are going to be watching and they know that they're going to get a lot of attention. Something like Romeo is a Dead Man might not have gotten any press whatsoever if it just released as a trailer by itself instead of going alongside all of these other really well-known franchises. And that's where I think people set these false expectations. Maybe they look at these events and they assume all their favorite games are going to be there, or they look at the PlayStation Studios games and assume a lot of these big budget AAA games that are first party are going to be shown off here, whether they are close to releasing or not. And that brings me to my next major point, and that is this event showcased a lot of games releasing in the relatively near future. Whether it's 2025, we saw a bunch of September release dates announced, and 2026, which is not that far off in the grand scheme of things. Whereas in an event like Summer Games Fest or State of Play, you'll see games teased that won't come out for many years. Elder Scrolls 6, for example, was teased a long time before we're actually going to get hands-on with that. Even Sony with Marvel's Wolverine, that's not going to be played for many years after it was initially revealed. Whereas these games are all coming out in the near future, relatively speaking, and I think that's a good thing at the end of the day because we know these games are on the horizon. It doesn't also matter if all of these games are going to be first party, third party, exclusive or not, if they're good games that are being backed by Sony at the end of the day, in my personal opinion. The other thing that I've seen is that we didn't get any of the major titles that are upcoming for Sony released, and again, I understand that to a degree, but if they don't have any to be shown that are releasing in the near future, or they intend to get more eyeballs on it at an event like Summer Games Fest with like Marvel's Wolverine, if that gets another trailer, something like that, I think that is fully understandable. Whereas here, we got some very interesting reveals that I think kind of came out of nowhere. Like Neo 3 is something I did not expect. Marvel Tokon could be absolutely massive. It combines fighting games with Marvel, which we haven't seen in a long time since Capcom versus Marvel, or Marvel vs. Capcom, and it also is going to be a game that I think is going to gain a lot of attention and get a lot of hype. So you do have a big headliner that came out of nowhere. No one was expecting that. We also get the first James Bond game in a very long time that got a full reveal in this State of Play. First Light 007 looks like it could be very good. It's from the developers of Hitman as well, so they definitely understand this type of genre, and I think that's really, really exciting. We also got my personal favorite reveal, Final Fantasy Tactics Remastered. So again, a fabled franchise, a game that is generational in my opinion, getting remastered with voiceovers and everything, and it just felt like because there wasn't a game from Naughty Dog or Studio Santa Monica, something like that, I feel like people are saying that this wasn't all that good. It didn't have the major titles that people are looking forward to, but that's not where these events are going to shine. After we've seen the last few years and so many under the radar games get nominated or be Game of the Year contenders. You look this year with Clair Obscur and Blueprints. You look last year, Balatro, and some others. I feel like that's where games of this nature, stuff like Bloodstained, the sequel, can really shine and maybe will be a under the radar hit that we need to keep our eyes on. You have unique titles. That's the other frustrating thing for me, is that this State of Play had so many different genres in it, so many different types of games, that it felt like there was something for everybody. A fighting game, a shooter, you've got RPG games, you've got side scrollers, everything that you might want. Even a game like Baby Steps was just hard to put into a box as far as what category it falls on. I think there was something for everyone. We got a survival game. There's so many things to look forward to, and just because everything wasn't for you specifically doesn't mean there wasn't something for a wide range of people. And I think when we see events that are wider more than they are top heavy with these massive titles, that's when they start to get a lot of pushback. And meanwhile, I'm looking forward to playing 5-6 of these games potentially, and there just feels like there's so much variety that as somebody who likes to play a lot of different types of games, I am absolutely looking forward to so many of these over the next year and a half. And so I think the major thing that I understand from people online is the complaints about the lack of first-party Sony PlayStation games, right? PS5. People say it's underwhelming. I disagree personally, but I do see that argument quite a bit, and I somewhat understand that. However, in the next couple months, this month specifically, we have Death Stranding 2. In a few months after that, in September, we have Ghosts of Yotai, which looks like it could be very good. I wouldn't be surprised if we get another game added onto that by the end of the year, now that Grand Theft Auto 6 has been moved into next year. And I don't feel like there's any problem with them extending the timeline now that we know when GTA 6 is going to drop, and understanding that we do have some other games that are probably going to drop within the next year, or maybe within either 2025 or 2026. And so while they don't have 20 games lined up, that is never going to be the case. Again, during September alone, they're supposed to have a couple different PlayStation exclusives. We have other games that are third-party games like Phantom Blade Zero to look forward to. And so because of that, I think those complaints are largely overblown. I think the PlayStation 5 is going to be stacked with titles if you know where to look. And there's so many of these games that will be very, very fun. I didn't even mention Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater, which also got a teaser and some interesting things as well. And that's another fabled franchise that they did reveal new content for at this event. And again, not everything is going to be for everybody. Astrobot won Game of the Year last year. It's getting 5 new levels as announced at this event as essentially a DLC. And that's something that I've seen people say, well, that's underwhelming. But it was Game of the Year last year. A lot of people loved Astrobot. And so to complain about that just because we aren't getting a COD or a sports game in this showing, I think is relatively silly overall. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. We got Silent Hill. We got 007. We got Ghost of Yotai. There's so much to look forward to. We got unique titles like Tides of Tomorrow. I think it looks incredibly interesting, where you kind of follow in the footsteps of other players. The tech on that sounds absolutely insane. We got a VR game. We got a wireless fight stick. There's so much there that I think if you just take a look at everything that was on offer, you can understand that, okay, this might not have been the big blockbuster event that I had hoped it would be, but if I had my expectations in line, if I understand what they're trying to do, then I can understand that they pulled it off very well, in my personal opinion, and set us on the right track ahead of Summer Games Fest, which will have a lot more of those massive blockbusters that people are waiting for. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Agree, disagree, definitely let me know. My name is Jopa. Have a good one, and I'll catch you all later.